A young lady by the name of Amber Jones submitted this story to Guidepost magazine. Came out earlier this week. I'm going to have to read quite a bit of it. It's title of it is "In Her Shoes." I settled into my seat in the audience of the Good Morning America and stared down at the shoes that I was wearing. My little sister's shoes. Emily had died 8 months earlier, a slow, painful death from cervical cancer. Going to the taping of GMA had topped Emily's bucket list. Emily had drawn hope from anchor Robin Roberts, a 2-time cancer survivor. And as luck would have it, one of Emily's favorite recording artists was Mandisa, and Mandisa, whose music video for Overcomer had inspired my sister during her illness, and Mandisa was the guest musician that day. Amber went on to write, as she wrote, "As soon as Robin Roberts stepped on the set, I felt Emily's excitement rush through me, pushing it up from her shoes. Oh, sister, this is it." At the first commercial break, Robin mingled with the audience. Maybe I can get a picture with our shoes. I thought. I maneuvered my way through the crowd until suddenly I found myself standing in front of her. "I'm here in my little sister's shoes," I said. "She died of cancer 8 months ago. You were her absolute hero. Can I take a picture with you?" Robin's eyes filled with tears. "Well, thank you for sharing that with me," she said, pulling me to her. "God bless you. Of course, we can take a picture." I sat down again, my heart full. Robin Roberts now knew Emily in some mystical way. Two souls connected in the wide world. It was so much more than I could have ever hoped for. At the next commercial break, I heard my name being called. It was Robin. She wanted me to introduce me to Mandisa. "Your music meant so much to my sister," I said, and I told Mandisa her story, and Mandisa began to cry. She's saying, "My best friend died of cancer last year." As we took a picture together, I hugged her for my sister and for those of us who are left behind. I went back to my seat. At the next break, Robin called me again. "I want the whole world to hear the story of your sister's shoes," she said. My protests were caught in my throat. The camera flashed live, and Robin introduced me and my sister's story to the world. All of those people connected to her. And then, as Mandisa sang, Robin hugged me to her side. "Your sister would be so proud of you." I left the studio feeling a little lighter in my sister's shoes. Though I could no longer see her or hold her, I knew her spirit endured. As had the love between us, I felt it with every step I took. The title of my talk today is Oneness. 3 major points. We are all points of light. Then I'm going to talk about our interdependence. And finally, their interests are my interests. We are all points of light in the greater light that is the universe. God, Spirit, the thing itself, whatever name you choose to assign to your higher power, we are all points of light in that greater light. In our classes, one of the analogies that we use is that we are all like drops in the ocean. Each one of us has all of the same qualities within us as the entire ocean. We have the same saline, we have all of the same qualities of the ocean, but we're just a drop. Another story, that is a young lady. She's 11 years old. Her name is Ruby Kate Chisty. And Ruby Kate is 11. Her mother is a nurse practitioner, and her mom assists and essentially works in 5 different hospitals, nursing homes, and often Ruby Kate goes with her. And Ruby Kate would be the first to admit it's boring with a bunch of people in the nursing home, but she does have a great deal of compassion with and for them, and she likes to go. And one day she watched as a lady in a wheelchair longingly looked out the door and watched as another lady with a dog walked away. And so Ruby Kate went up to this lady and asked her why she was looking out the door for so long, and she said that she was saying goodbye to her doggie, and she said that that doggie was very special to her, and it was really hard to arrange for someone to, a pet sitter to come and pick up the dog and bring it to the home and stay with it while she got to be with the dog, and she didn't know if she would ever be able to see her beloved little dog again. That inspired Ruby Kate. And she went around to every resident in that home and asked them, what are the 3 things that you would like the most? 3 things that you would like. And the list was somewhat surprising. It wasn't maybe some of the things that you would think it would be. The list included things like pants that fit. Another one was fast food. I love McDonald's. I haven't had McDonald's in 7 years. Another one was fresh fruit. One lady wrote that she hadn't tasted a fresh strawberry in 4 years. She loves strawberries. So Ruby Kate got this list, compiled it, and took it to her mom and said, what can we do? And Mom says, well, I know you mean well, Ruby Kate, but I really don't know. She said, maybe we can start a GoFundMe and maybe somebody will contribute. And so Ruby Kate started a GoFundMe for these people in these 5 nursing homes to try and help them. And some things started to happen, but more importantly, this story caught the attention of the GoFundMe people, and they named Ruby Kate their Youth Champion of the Month and promoted her story to the top. And in 1 month, Ruby Kate generated $70,000 to help these people. The sacred reading, Linda, was awesome. God and love are one. Love is always where we are, no matter what we do or say. In her shoes. Point number 2. As we become more aware of our oneness with everything and everyone else, we become more aware of our divine nature and our interdependence with all that is. Everything that we do or say touches everything else. Einstein used a phrase to talk about a quantum event that's known as non-locality, that he talked about non-locality as ghostly action at a distance. And, science, they have to get their calipers down on everything and verify from a scientific standpoint. And they can do that now. They've noticed the rotation of electrons and how they can change the rotation on one electron. It can change the duration, the rotation on the other side of the globe. So this ghostly action at a distance. I'm all about practical things. I don't know about electrons going around, what way they go. But interesting example of this could be my sister had twins, and they are really, really close. And her boy, who lives close to her in Denver, got really, really, really sick one night, and they ended up rushing him into the hospital in the middle of the night and everything. The next morning, she got a call from her daughter, his twin sister, living in Washington, D.C., and said, "Is bro all right? I woke up in the middle of the night last night." And those kinds of stories, they don't meet our scientific requirements for our ability to measure them. But those stories, those anecdotes are far too numerous. It happens too much. We are all deeply interconnected, and everything we do touches everyone else. This last week, actually the last 2 days, we have had attended a thing, and it's called the World Interfaith Week of Harmony. It all started here at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living, and went from here up to the mosque, and we went to a Muslim service, and then it continued the next day. We went to the Baha'is, and then we went to the LDSs. Many thanks to Judy, Prac 1 student, for pulling it together. I had enough going on at the time, and I didn't think it was right for me to head it up, and I just put it out to the universe, and she grabbed the ball and ran with it, and she must have something on Kevin. She coerced him to open it up with a solo, so many thanks to Kevin and all of the people that came together to put this on. We hosted people from many different faiths and traditions. But yesterday at the Baha'i, well, those people like to pray. Whoa, do they ever. So they had one that I had to condense it. But this is a Baha'i prayer of unity. Consider the flowers of a garden. Though each is different in kind, color, form, and shape, yet they are refreshed by the waters of one spring, revived by the breath of one wind, invigorated by the rays of one sun. This diversity increases their charm and adds to their beauty. Diversity of hues, form, and shape enrich and adorn the garden. In a like manner, when diverse shades of thought and temperament and character are brought together under the power and influence of one central agency, the beauty and glory of human perfection is revealed and made manifest. More on the World Interfaith Week of Harmony later. But once again, it's the same as in her shoes. Third point, their interests are my interests. It was interesting. We were first. I didn't know what to do, and I just thought it sounded kind of reasonable, because I'm sure people are curious about who we are. What do those people do? I mean, they don't have a basin up there for animal sacrifices. What do they believe? What do they do? So I gave them just a little bit about what we believe. And one of the things that I happened to talk about was our belief in our oneness and our unity, that we are all together. We are one. Every place we went, that theme of unity and oneness was repeated until we got to the LDS church. Each group talked a little bit about their theology, a little bit about kind of what they believed and, some of their practices and whatnot, until we got to the LDS church. And they did not speak of that at all. However, one lady, in describing some of the classes and some of the practices, some of the things that their youth did, talked about her kids, and she was so proud of the values that her kids had gained, and largely through the classes and the youth activities and what they did. And she said that on snowy mornings, her kids would bound out of bed and go down and shovel the sidewalks and the driveway. And as soon as they finished their sidewalks and driveway, they'd go out and do the neighbors, paying particular attention to the elderly. Now, they may not have got up and articulated their theology or their beliefs or what they did, but I think those actions speak far beyond the words. I think that our LDS brothers and sisters absolutely demonstrated this idea of our oneness in her shoes. The Dalai Lama, his book, Ethics for a New Millennium, wrote, "Self and others can only really be understood in terms of relationship. We see that self-interest and others' interest are closely interrelated. Indeed, with this picture of dependently originated reality, we see that there is no self-interest completely unrelated to others' interests. Due to the fundamental interconnectedness which lies at the heart of reality, your interest is also my interest. From this, it becomes clear that my interest and your interest are intimately connected. In a deep sense, they converge." For conclusion today, the takeaway that I have for you today, I'm going to introduce you to a quote from Ernest Holmes that I'm going to be using more frequently throughout the season of peace. Resonates very deeply with me. It came from not one of his books that we study and whatnot, but this was in a collection. It's called The Miscellaneous Writings of Ernest Holmes, Volume 15, put together by Willis Kinnear, who was a real student of Ernest Holmes. So this is from Volume 15. God is love. There can be no doubt about that. Love can be established as a scientific principle that belongs to every man. We shall never come into an understanding of love until we come into an understanding of humanity. We shall never come into an understanding of humanity or unity so long as we think that one man is more important than another. God's nature is love. We shall never approach love other than by being loving and being lovable. There is no other way. And so with this concept of our interconnectedness, this idea of we are all loving beings, I invite my colleagues, the practitioners, to join me in surrounding our congregation in love and light and just simply knowing the absolute truth that we are beings of love. And that we go through this thing called life, and we have our challenges, we have our opportunities, and yet there is a spiritual truth that is far greater than any of the experiences that we have in this earthly plane. So I speak my word now for those of us who are experiencing challenges in, say, regard to financial matters. For those of us that are experiencing lack and limitation, we just simply know that we live in an abundant universe. A universe that is so abundant we can't begin to count the stars in the heavens or the grains of sand on a beach. We can't even count the number of salmon in the stream accurately. We live in an abundant universe. And I speak my word for those who are experiencing health challenges. We just simply know that this challenge is absolutely real. There is such a thing as disease, but we also know that there is a blueprint of perfection that resides within each and every one of us. And it is that blueprint that I call forth now, a blueprint of perfect health, of vitality, vibrancy on the part of each and every person. And I lastly speak my word for those of us who are experiencing separation, relationship challenges, whether it be separation from one another as human beings or separation from God. We just simply know that each one of us are individualized expressions of that God. Each and every one of us have all of the very love of God within us. So whether it be a work relationship, a family relationship, a romantic relationship, it makes no difference because it is all the relationship of God unto itself. And so we just give thanks now. We give thanks for the love in our lives. We give thanks for perfect health. We give thanks for abundance and prosperity. We give thanks for the love of God. We give thanks for in her shoes. And so now we just release this word to a working of law. We let it go, we let it be, and so it is.